Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen is a profound and practical exploration into the nature of human thought, emotion, and consciousness. It challenges one of the most basic assumptions we hold, that our thoughts are always true, and reveals how this belief quietly fuels suffering, anxiety, and disconnection from peace. Nguyen's central message is both simple and life-changing. Peace and happiness are not things you must achieve. They are your natural state, uncovered when you stop believing the mind's illusions. The book gently walks you through understanding how the mind works, why it causes unnecessary pain, and how to awaken to a deeper intelligence that already lives within you. 1. Understanding the mind. The first idea Nguyen explores is that the human mind is a wonderful tool, but a terrible master. It is constantly producing thoughts, tens of thousands every day, and most of them are automatic, repetitive, and based on memories, fears, and desires. Our thoughts try to make sense of the world, but often they distort it. The mind is like a storyteller that never stops talking. It comments, judges, analyzes, and compares endlessly. When we identify with that voice, we believe we are the voice. But in truth, the voice is just a stream of conditioned patterns, shaped by past experiences and social programming. Nguyen explains that this misunderstanding, confusing ourselves with our thoughts, is the root of almost all psychological suffering. We take thoughts personally as if they define who we are. When we think, "I'm not good enough," or "I'm failing," we don't see them as passing mental events. We see them as facts, and in doing so, we give them power to shape our emotions and action. 2. Thoughts are not reality. Thoughts are merely representations, shadows of reality, not reality itself. When we see a sunset, for example, the experience is real, but when we later think about that sunset, it's no longer the sunset. It's a memory, an image, a story. In the same way, most of what the mind talks about is not the present moment, but either the past or the imagined future. The mind lives in time, always regretting, remembering, or anticipating, and rarely touches what's actually happening now. That constant mental activity creates tension because it resists what is. Nguyen points out that the mind often creates suffering out of nothing. A simple event, a comment, a delay, a rejection, triggers a flood of interpretations. They don't respect me. I always mess things up. Something's wrong. None of these thoughts are facts, but believing them feels like pain. When we realize that thoughts are not reality, they're just mental weather passing through, we begin to find freedom. The world doesn't need to change for us to be happy. Our relationship with our thoughts does. 3. The source of suffering. All suffering, William writes, is born from resistance. We suffer not because life is difficult, but because we mentally resist what is happening. The mind says, "This shouldn't be happening," and instantly pain appears. For example, imagine being stuck in traffic. The fact, being in traffic, is neutral, but the thought, "This is terrible, I'm wasting time," creates irritation. The problem is not the situation, it's the story the mind tells about it. The same is true of emotional pain. When we feel sad or anxious, we often resist those feelings, labeling them as bad. But emotions, like thoughts, are temporary energy patterns moving through the body. When we stop fighting them and simply allow them, they dissolve naturally. Suffering ends not by controlling life, but by ending inner resistance, by letting life be as it is without demanding it be different. 4. The illusion of control. Human beings are obsessed with control. We try to control our circumstances, emotions, and outcomes, believing that happiness depends on everything going our way. But control is an illusion. Nguyen teaches that peace comes not from control but from surrender, from trusting the natural intelligence of life itself. When we let go of the need to manipulate or predict, we make space for something greater than the thinking mind: awareness. This doesn't mean we stop taking action. It means we act from clarity, not fear. We let go of the mental struggle and move with life instead of against it. Ironically, when we stop forcing life to go our way, things often unfold with more ease and grace. 5. Awareness, the true self. One of the book's most powerful teachings is the difference between thought and awareness. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them. This realization changes everything. When you observe your thoughts instead of getting lost in them, you discover that there's a silent, peaceful presence behind the noise. That presence is who you truly are. It never changes, even though your thoughts and emotions constantly do. Nguyen invites readers to rest in that awareness. Whenever a negative thought appears, instead of believing it, you can simply notice it arise and fade. You begin to see thoughts as passing clouds in the vast sky of consciousness. The sky never tries to stop the clouds, it allows them all. In the same way, awareness allows every thought and emotion to come and go. That is the essence of peace. Not the absence of thought, but the freedom from believing thought. 6. The relationship between thought and emotion. Every emotion begins with a thought. You can't feel sad without first thinking a sad thought, even if it's subconscious. Nguyen explains that emotions are reflections of what we believe. When we believe a fearful thought, we feel fear. When we believe a loving thought, we feel peace. This means emotions are not random. They are messengers, showing us what we're believing. Instead of trying to fix our feelings, we can trace them back to the thought behind them and question its truth. When negative emotions arise, Nguyen suggests asking, "What am I believing right now? Is it absolutely true? Who would I be without this belief?" By doing so, we return to awareness, and emotions naturally shift. The goal isn't to suppress or chase feelings, but to understand them as reflections of thought. 7. The power of presence. Nguyen emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment, the only place where life actually exists. The mind constantly drags us into the past or future, but peace is always now. When we anchor ourselves in presence, through the breath, sensations, or simple awareness, we step out of mental time. In that stillness, problems disappear, because problems only exist in thought. Presence isn't something you achieve, it's what remains when the noise quiets. It's the space where you realize that you already are everything you were searching for. In this moment, there's no lack, no worry, no fear, just the simple, peaceful awareness of being. 8. The path to inner freedom. Nguyen's path to inner freedom doesn't require years of study or effort. It begins with awareness, noticing when you're caught in thought and gently returning to the present. Each time you do this, the mind loses some of its grip. You begin to see thoughts not as enemies but as temporary appearances. Some are useful. They help you plan, create, and communicate. Others are useless, replaying regrets or predicting fears. You don't need to fight the mind. You only need to see it clearly. As clarity deepens, peace becomes your natural state. You don't have to create peace. You simply stop disturbing it with unnecessary thought. 9. Awakening and true happiness. The final message of "Don't believe everything you think" is deeply spiritual. True happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from awakening to what you already are. Nguyen reminds us that our essential nature is consciousness itself, infinite, timeless, and whole. The more we identify with that awareness, the more we experience life with love, peace, and acceptance. Happiness isn't about adding more to your life. It's about subtracting the false stories. the false beliefs, the false identities. What remains is truth. What remains is freedom. 10. The practice of letting go. In daily life, we encourages us to practice letting go, not as a passive act, but as a conscious return to trust. Let go of needing others' approval. Let go of replaying the past. Let go of thoughts that tell you something is missing. Each moment you release identification with thought, you return home to the present. You rediscover the quiet joy of simply existing, the joy that has always been here, underneath all the noise. Conclusion. Don't believe everything you think is more than a book about mindfulness. It's a guide to awakening. It teaches that the world outside doesn't need to change for you to be at peace. You just need to stop believing every thought that passes through your mind. You are not broken. You are not your fears, doubts, or worries. You are the awareness behind them, spacious, free, and at peace. When you stop identifying with thought, life becomes lighter. Every moment becomes an opportunity to rest in the truth of who you are, the silent witness, the open sky, the infinite consciousness that has been watching all along.